I hate this episode more than anything I've ever reviewed. I hate it more than The Lion Guard, more than Pickle and Peanut, even more than The Annoying Orange, even more than Let's Get Serious. I did that first review over 2 years ago, mostly out of just bile and hatred for how awful the thing was, and quite a bit of boredom from school, but also in the vain hope that maybe the writers of Teen Titans Go would listen to how many people were crying out at how badly they were doing and think, maybe we should improve. But they never, ever do. As only a few episodes after that, they gave us this abomination. So greetings, searchers of the interweb. I'm Pavrex11, reviewer of the good, the bad, and the underrated. And you sadists on Twitter voted that for my 250 sub special, I should review The Return of Slade, so I'm finally reviewing The Return of Slade. On top of just how bad this thing is, I should be angry it's interrupting my look back on the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but at least it's a more interesting kind of bad than Iron Man 2. This was bound to happen eventually, the day I had to review the worst episode of Teen Titans Go. After having to wade through so many episodes of this crap and only finding one good one, it should go without saying that I find this to be among the worst animated shows ever made, especially for the writers continually taking valid criticisms against the show and, rather than improving or ignoring them like most decent human beings would, making many episodes dedicated to flipping them off, continuing this vicious war that'll end with the show's likely far-off cancellation. But this is an episode so awful that it not only insults its critics, but also its fans and anyone who's ever watched and enjoyed anything animated. So,
P-Man, I've notified several of your associates to check on you should you get too stressed during this review. Yes, viewers, my analysis shows this episode is that bad.
Thanks, Jamie. And so I must wade through the ocean of that is one of the most infamous episodes of any animated show to hit the airwaves. Teen Titans Go's The Return of Slade.
This episode starts with Raven watching Pretty Pegasus.
Get it? Because Tara Strong's also a pony! If only they hadn't overused that joke in over 100 episodes. It wouldn't be funny, but at least it wouldn't be as painful.
Nicki Minaj called. She says you're being too crude. Actually, it's Robin destroying their TV rather than using the damn door because of a crime.
Yeah, so call the police.
I believe the number is 9 and the 1 and the 1.
I guess they forgot they're in a superhero show. Also, Starfire, stop putting the before every other word you say.
In the original, she only did it in front of certain nouns, so it was quirky rather than irritating. This isn't just a problem for Titans Go though, even in stuff I like, such as DC Superhero Girls. Stop laughing, it's a decent show. That joke gets old within 7 nanoseconds. But it turns out the alert is for Slade.
Slade.
That's right, Slade.
I guess saying names amounts to comedy at this point.
Am I getting old? I'm only 19, but I feel old.
I mean, it's not Slade's fault that saying his name with as much fear and hatred he deserves is fun as hell.
Same for all good villains. See? Slade, Joker, Thanos, Vader, Sauron, Maleficent, Megatron, Kanye West, Donald Trump, Nigel Farage. Okay, I'm done.
Having Slade in Titans Go alone is a dumb idea. Maybe he could be used as a straight man, but as I've shown in my previous reviews with how all the Titans are the same wacky jackass, I don't think the writers have heard of a straight man. Or jokes. Besides, how could they fit such a dark villain into such a stupid show? Or such a great actor as Ron Perlman into such a cheap show?
Deadpool? Deadpool? What? Why does everybody think I'm Deadpool? He should be saying that he's not me. Okay, because I came out like way before he did.
Nah, I'm pretty sure you're Deadpool.
God fucking damn it! They put Slade and Lego Batman in that inevitably shitty film! Okay, what the fuck?
Hey, Pat.
Oh, hi, Quill.
This weird robot voice came to ask me how you were doing, so how are you doing?
Going through a pretty tough review, but pulling through.
So, what you reviewing?
Oh, a Teen Titans Go episode called
Teen Titans Go? Dude, run.
No, Quill. I must endure.
Getting through this shit show isn't worth the death of all of your brain cells.
I must get through it. For the views, I mean the greater good.
Well, okay. Have fun dying, Pat. See ya.
Help.
After some overdramatic bollocks, the Toddler Titans agreed to fight Slade.
Titans, go!
SpongeBob called. He wanted to remind you that he only skips over parts of the story that don't matter.
In the end, so many compelling storylines came together and resolved in such a satisfying way.
A perfect balance of the action and drama, along with light moments of the comedy.
Yeah, make fun of all the people wanting good writing, you lazy nincompoops. Maybe it'll distract us from the fact that you can't animate your own explosions.
Even the voice actors don't sound comfortable with the crap they're spewing.
Well, it's too bad people will never see any of it.
No! That's a good thing, bro! It was just too epic!
How long I've waited for a 6th season where they finally defeat Slade. Sorry, Tara, I don't buy it and won't buy a ticket for the film.
This is the Teen Titans. Can anyone hear us? We think we found a way back.
A mission to...
This part of the episode was actually played up in the marketing to get their fans excited and their haters to watch.
It's pretty much the definition of a ratings trap, luring its fans and detractors alike to view one of the most crappy formulas in animated shows these days, a critic comeback episode.
Rather than sucking it up or learning, the writers act like bitchy teenagers and dig their grave even further. Rather than shutting their haters up like the intention seems to be, it usually results in the hatred for their show rising and their defenders being turned.
If they cut off one head, two more shall take its place.
Even good shows have fallen into this trap a few times. Sure, Fame and Misfortune wasn't nearly as bad as this storyline can get, but its themes and morals were kind of sloppy and poorly realised, clearly because the writer wasn't actually on board with the story. Really sorry about that, Larson. However, even by the standards of this self-defeating plot, the Titans Go writers managed to screw it up even further with the analogy they use. The scene when after they defeat Slade, Beast Boy and Cyborg want a clown.
This is a clown, Star.
I can relate to that. I guess 40-40-20 wasn't the first time the Toddler Titans were relatable. Just the first time they were relatable for more than 2 nanoseconds.
And they had that great music.
Something distract me from this.
Hi, Pat. How are you doing?
Oh, hi Digi. Have I ever mentioned that I love you?
Okay. Well, since you're going crazy, I guess that means business as usual.
Sorry mate, just got through some music limitations that make Chris Rock seem tolerable. Save yourself before the madness infects you too.
Is the madness spread through touch?
No? Why?
'Cause I'm gonna boop your nose.
What? No.
Yes,
I'm allergic.
it'll make you feel
No.
bad, Pat.
Away,
I'm
foul
gonna do
boop
it.
demon.
I'm unstoppable.
Desist.
Nothing
Halt.
can stop the boop.
Leave this plane!
The station!
Phew. Wait, my boop allergy could have put me in the hospital away from this crap. Oh, bugger.
Clowns are great. For little kids. You guys are too old for clowns.
They of course mean clowns as a thinly veiled stand-in for animated shows, meaning they're saying any adult watching cartoons is a pathetic moron like Beast Boy and Cyborg. They're not just insulting their critics, but even people who haven't watched the show and their own fans. Maybe Jelenic dared the other writers to go, I bet you can't be bigger jackasses than insulting people with a decent point. And Horvath took him up on it, so they concentrated their evil powers into pure animated dickery.
Still, it's fitting that the writers of a show that only the littlest kids could enjoy stoop to the level of spoiled little brats to address their audience.
It doesn't even work, since all clowns basically have the same routine and tone for their acts. But there's as much variety in animated shows as fish in the sea or flowers in a garden. Some tell single episode stories while the stories span many. Some keep a consistent tone between episodes, be it light or dark, and others change depending on the story. There are even, gasp, cartoons not aimed at children! Right from the start, this analogy is flawed no matter how you look at it. The writers are trying to apply a black and white representation to a subject with more grey areas than a goth film convention.
How's season 6 of Pretty Pretty Pegasus?
Oh my gosh. Well, Butterbean and Sparkleface have to save King Jellybean, who's been frozen in cake frosting.
Oh yeah, the 6th season of Pony was so light and fluffy. We had stories dealing with the crippling pain of regret, a powerful entity dealing with suppressed feelings of jealousy and loneliness, a child going through denial and anxiety associated with being unable to find a concrete representation of her purpose in life, and a dark queen kidnapping the land's rulers, leaving a bunch of underdog ex-villains to save them or be devoured by her army. Hindsight's a bitch. isn't it?
Raven's the clear author avatar in this story, belittling clowns and the two, but enjoys a brainless G3 pony ripoff. They aren't even hiding their hypocrisy.
Oh, what's that, audience? It's them being self-aware about making a stupid show? When has that ever not come off as hypocritical and desperate from them?
Most illogical.
At their We Defeated Slade party, the clown comes and Starfire recalls in horror, just like the fans of the show finding it suddenly impossible to defend as it turns on them like a starving chihuahua.
I told you, you're too old for clowns.
No, it's him! This is not the way we remember his act!
Actually, Teen Titans is just as great as I remember it. So is Avatar, The Clone Wars, even Thomas the Tank Engine holds up really well.
You wanna know why? Because it was written by people who actually gave a shit. So start giving a shit rather than slinging shit at your audience.
You know, maybe we can fix him. Make him as cool as he used to be.
Clowns were never cool. You're letting nostalgia cloud your memory.
Funny, because themes of finding identity, dealing with your family's sins, and the struggle between what you want and what's best for you and those around you sounds pretty cool to me. Admitting that your crap is almost as pathetic as Channel Awesome's response to the very real problems its leaders created. Plus, as much as I and others rag against shows today, especially those clearly inspired by Titans Go, there is still quality cartoons that feel like they're cut from the same cloth as the original, like Voltron, DuckTales, and Star Wars Rebels.
Rebels ended.
Oh yeah, bugger. At least it ended on a high note. This show will probably just end on a note lower than Kevin Michael Richardson's voice.
But we're making this clown cool again.
Man, the Republicans' priorities are getting even more skewed. Also, someone call the police! They're canon in this universe, so call them and arrest these crazy ants. They've kidnapped someone and broken into Dr. Insano's lab.
He looks like some kind of clown.
What a disgrace!
Why do you sound surprised? You see that every time you look in a mirror.
They proceed to do a failure montage. Kind of like marathoning this show. And hey, Beast Boy looks like Dr. Horrible. If we reference something funny, that'll make us funny.
But still, it's a brand new day, and the sun is high. All the birds are singing that you're gonna die. How I hesitate, now I don't know.
Ugh! Keep it the hell down! I can hear Crappy singing all the way in my void space.
Oh, sorry, Blackbird.
Anyway, you doing okay, dude?
Yeah, all things considered.
Good, cause you need to man the hell up, you fat baby!
What are you talking about? I'm a man. I lift. T-Mugs.
Teen Titans Go isn't really that bad, you're just exaggerating it.
You dare question a spirit in chaos's judgment, mortal worm!
Surprisingly, that doesn't help your case.
Have you even seen The Return of Slade, Grandpa?
No, hey, I'm not that old!
Oh, look, a distraction.
What the hell is Rob Liefeld's wet dream doing in this show?
Insulting anyone who ever enjoyed anything animated.
Dad, you're still overreacting, kid. Back in my day, when we had 13 channels, and they all sold toys to us, so I got broke, I had to go beg in the street and was 7, and then Optimus Prime died, and all I had was Rodimus Prime. Although I liked Rodimus Prime, so it wasn't really that bad.
The dumbass duo then show off their clown, and Starfire is scared, even though there are approximately 600 quadrillion ways she could destroy it involving super strength and lasers. Come to think of it, why aren't clowns completely out of business in the DC universe? Clowns in this reality think they have it bad with stuff like it demonizing them, not that they need to try too hard to make clowns scary. But in DC, there are criminals like Joker, Trickster, and Mixiaspitlick with clown themes causing misery, chaos, and death on a massive scale. Starfire has every right to be afraid of clowns. Or would if she didn't have the powers that would simultaneously barbecue and pancake it. It inevitably beats up Robin, so at least I can find some enjoyment in this.
Guys, this is wrong. You've taken something that's meant to be for kids and made it totally inappropriate.
Oh no! Superheroes punching stuff! What does Raven think this is? The 90s Spider-Man show?
Besides, more than half of the original show was wacky and silly, but at least it respected its characters and, most importantly, its audience. Kids deserve more respect than shows like this give them. Help steer them away from the Titans Go mixed with Tide Pods.
At least they'll grow up and improve, more than I can say for the writers.
Life is about growth, it's about change, but you seem to just want to stay the same.
And I'm worried what the influence of something like that could have on all kids' entertainment.
I dread to think of the parallel universe where Teen Titans Go influences all cartoons. Then again, we're getting that way in this world, so maybe I should move.
Raven watches her tired running gag to see it be inappropriate because twerking, borderline fetishizing teenage characters, and gross out humour Zeus Service would gag at is completely appropriate for young kids.
I'd say Titans Go has lived long enough to see itself become the villain, but that would imply it was ever the hero.
It turns out the clown is a villain now, so basically another Tuesday for the DC universe, turning all the toys into Satan's playthings. Honestly, with the kind of stuff kids buy these days, what are they running for? They should be loving all that crap. And so we come to the most forced and rage-inducing part of the episode. Cyborg and Beast Boy preaching their garbage moral directly into the camera because our collective heads hadn't been beaten over enough from it.
I guess we lost sight of what made clowns cool in the first place, as being age-appropriate entertainment.
We can't hold on to our childhood forever.
Shut the f*** up, you
Yep. Us Titans fans know that things change. Rarely for the better. But that doesn't make what came before any worse.
As disappointed as I was at the original Titans ending, especially how vague and inconclusive things change turns out to be, it did teach me something. That even in the face of things changing and the things you love going away, you can't let that stop you. Even as Terra left Beast Boy behind, he wouldn't forget her. Even though he was sad to leave Terra behind, that didn't stop him from being who he was, a hero. And part of what made him a hero was how willing he was to improve. He may have been a bit of a slacker and a goofball, but that didn't override his good heart, and that he grew to become an effective hero and leader even with his childishness. So to see this character who managed to grow up despite still being young at heart, being a mouthpiece for lazy writers refusing to grow, I find more insulting than anything else this show. Sure, I may have grown up, but even though I've changed, that doesn't make the original Titans suddenly bad. Even at its wackiest, it was still a clever show that made me a better person, taught me to be determined, true to myself, and work with others, because alone, no one accomplishes much. We need different people or influences to teach us how to be better or help us when we fail. Alone, people can't see better ways. They can become cold, detached, ignorant, and stuck down a path that'll bring them nothing but darkness. They become like the writers from Teen Titans Go. Of course, the original Titans wasn't the only good influence on me. I still have my parents, family, and friends to thank, but without it, and other clever shows I saw as a kid, I'd be a hell of a lot worse off. Cause the fact of the matter is, people do hold on to their childhoods forever. Our experiences and likes in our formative years shape the people we are as grown-ups. And the possibility that a kid might see this episode of a usually brainless show suddenly having a toxic moral taken deathly seriously and allow it to influence them scares me.
And that's a new level of failure for this show. In the past, it's enraged me, bored me, perplexed me, and stunned me to silence, but this is the first time the show has legitimately scared me. So hats off to you, show, and may whatever higher power looking down on us have mercy on the kids that take this moral seriously. Because Lord knows they're gonna put more thought into this than you did. Bravo, you brainless idiots. Well freaking done! You've gone from something that gives kids nothing to something that could potentially give them a toxic outlook on this world. I hope that when this show is done, you go back to the McDonald's or the bin lorries you were picked up from and never improve. Never listen to the people telling you to get off your ass and do something with your life, because that's what you wrote in this. Practice what you preach, weeds. You know what? I'm done. There's only 1 minute left in this episode, but it's driven me friggin' nuts. I don't know how I could survive the last minute, so yeah, let's just end this here. There's no feasible way I could get through it without cracking.
Fear not, young sapling. I have just the remedy to aid you in your quest.
Laserhawk? Is that you?
No, I just squatted his place.
Huh.
I'm the great calamari wizard, simply known as that guy.
Internet reviews do seem to have a lot of weird or evil doppelgangers floating around. Did somebody say bugger off, Terry? There's nothing you can do more painful than this episode. Fine, you ungrateful hipster and stylish.
At least I have better hats than them. Anyway, since you're being overly dramatic over something that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, I will part on you a mystical artifact that will reduce the power of your enemies. Behold!
This is just a whiskey flask.
It'll lessen the pain, won't it?
Yeah, I guess this may as well. It's better than nothing. There isn't even any booze in here, you magical moron!
Ah, some thanks I get. See you later, you piece of... Oh crap, the door!
I'll save it for later.
So for some reason they think they can defeat such a fearsome and bloodthirsty opponent by...
What is happening? Explain!
So by leave their childhoods behind, they mean they should act just as childishly as ever and become the things they should have grown out of. There's a metaphor in here somewhere far more meaningful than anything the writers could have thought up.
I'm sure you'll all be surprised to know that their plan doesn't work. So Starfire does what she should have done 7 minutes ago to save us the headaches. So basically, the moral the writers wanted to say was that its audience needs to grow up past cartoons since there'll always be meaningless kid stuff, but in the actual story, the meaningless kid stuff proved ineffective versus a more violent and grown-up solution. Not since Theresa May calling the 2017 general election to increase her majority has a terrible idea with an even worse intention blown up so beautifully in someone's face.
So that was the Return of Slade. Ah! I mean... Ah! Ah!
Hey, could you keep it down? My race cars are ready to file a noise complaint.
Oh, sorry, Lefty.
What the hell are you giving yourself an aneurysm for anyway, Pat?
Oh, I just got through the Return of Slade, you see.
Oh dear God! You're a braver man than me. Here, why don't you take this screenshot of Fluttershy to help calm your nerves?
Oh, so adorable. I feel so much better already. Thanks, Lefty. You're the man.
Anytime, Pat.
Now, where was I? Oh, bollocks, I still need to conclude this.
This is the most incompetent and spiteful work I've reviewed. The sheer depth to which this story hates anyone and everyone foolish enough to watch it is almost impossible to comprehend. What little character the toddlers had is sucked out so that they can become hollow puppets to echo the pent-up whining the creators have built up from their own pettiness and incompetence. I may have thought the writers of the show inept before, but with how contradictory and poorly conceived the moral of this episode is, I'm beginning to wonder if they're delusional as well. Only people with no experience in creative writing or utter madmen would create something this idiotic. To not only insult their detractors but their own fans is something that's too foolish for me to believe is coincidence. I get the feeling they actually hate anyone watching it, and just want their fans to grow up and go away so they can't realize how crappy their show is. I would actually want to know the opinion of any fans or kids who saw this episode, as I can only imagine the fans would be insulted and the kids bored, because even by the show's standards they barely attempt any jokes and their preaching excuse for drama feels ungodly forced and tiresome. This episode is basically a complete antithesis to everything that the original show stood for. Where it was hilarious and funny, this feels tired and creatively bankrupt, and where it was dramatic and thought-provoking, this feels crowbarred in and hateful. Even with the terrible stuff I review, I tried to come up with ways it could have been salvaged or done better, but here, I found that impossible. I can't think of any way the story could have been made possible, or even just the show's regular quality of bad.
There's a quote from my favourite TV show of all time, from my favourite version of my favourite character of all time. He says, near the end of a chapter of his life, that's stuck with me ever since I've heard it.
We all change. When you think about it, we're all different people, all through our lives. And that's okay, that's good, you've got to keep moving so long as you remember all the people that you used to be.
I think that speech can apply to both real life and writing entertainment. For a series of any kind to remain fresh and engaging, it has to occasionally change, be it through developing or adding characters, or changing settings, or maturing tone, and more. But likewise, you can't forget why people tune in to begin with, and you have to stay true to the spirit of your show, while still remembering the failures you made before so you don't repeat them. These are probably the biggest blunders Titans Go has committed. It stubbornly refuses to improve while simultaneously tripping over the same failures and making all new ones it could have avoided if it had looked back and put some thought into what it was doing. So as I move forward with my reviews, hopefully gaining even more of you lovely subscribers, and hopefully getting better, I'm never going to forget where I came from. So, while for the foreseeable future I'm mostly going to focus on reviewing the Marvel films and finally catching up on My Little Pony, be assured that there's far more great parts of the original Teen Titans for me to look back on, and I'm sure there'll be many more failures from Titans Go to come. I'm PatRex11, and thanks to over 250 of you for watching.
Hey, Pat. I have a squeaky chair. Do you want the squeaky chair? Yes, you do. Listen to it. It's squeaky. Getting through this...
I will part on you a mystical artifact that will reduce the power of your enemies. Behold!